Hi, I'm Yapo,
And I'm Agent 355.
and today we are playing Poxnora. Specifically, I am playing a Shattered Peaks deck that is entirely made up of Voil champions, or bats, because they're literally just bats. I mean, there's nothing special about it, they're just fancy bats.
So is Voil like an entire society?
Yeah, actually, there's a bunch of lore for the game that I've never bothered to look up because the parts I have read are absolutely terrible.
So
Uh,
of course that means I'm going to do nothing but ask about lore all the time. You know that.
I feel like before the next video, I should probably actually familiarize myself with the lore. But So that's the kind of the point of Voiles is that they all fly, obviously, since they're bats. They all have an ability called sonar, which means they are vulnerable to sonic damage, but they take less damage from ranged attacks because they can dodge it better. I guess is the theory behind it.
Hmm.
Other thing is they have a lot of abilities that synergize well with each other. Like this guy that I just put down is a really big buff guy. He's basically like head of the Voil, and he's got an ability that gives him more HP and defense for all the Voiles I have down.
So as somebody who's never ever played this game before, the very first thing you want to do is just go control the blue thingies. Yeah.
Yeah, they give you extra resources. Your shrine, your main base generates 45 Nora a turn, and the little blips out there are called fonts, and they generate 12 Nora a turn. And the other really nice thing they do for you is you can deploy in them once you have them captured.
Yeah. But the ultimate goal is to what? Kill the other guy's big thing.
Yep.
We going to use nothing but the most technical terms here.
Yeah, I mean, uh, the interesting thing about Pox is almost none of the games ever actually finish. Most everyone will quit before their shrine blows up,
Hmm.
just because it takes a while otherwise because the shrines start out with something like 80 HP, which is quite a lot, and they have special resistances because they're shrines and they're special and it's weird. But most people, if you soundly defeat them with field position and resource usage, will just straight up quit.
Sure.
So I am playing against what is predominantly a mixed deck. These guys are, if you've ever seen Starship Troopers, they're basically the bugs in Starship Troopers. But they're pretty good. They've got an ability that lets them lay little eggs, and when they lay little eggs, the more of them you have out, the faster they hatch. So they can shit out a bunch of really weak guys, but they can do it really, really quickly and for basically free,
Hmm.
which becomes problematic in a hurry if you let them build up.
Well, I'm sorry, but Starship Trooper enemies are way more interesting than Bat, so I'm rooting for the other guy now.
Okay, well, that's unfortunate, but I guess I'll have to just deal with that pain.
I'm yeah, I'm sorry. I gotta go with my gut on this one.
So a lot of these maps aren't great. I'll be honest. A lot of the maps are designed before power creep really set in the game. So it's really hard to close the distance and kill champions, and you end up getting big dead zones. And I was like, oh, I've got enough to kill him. I've got plenty of damage, and I calculated it out, and I was like, oh, I'm fine. I forgot about Sundered Lands faction bonus, which is they take 20% damage, less damage from attacks.
Hmm.
So that 20% was enough to put me off by 3 hit points, and now it lives, and now I'm. This is not good.
So you wanted to kill it? Well, okay, that's a big thing.
Yeah, that's an even bigger big thing because that ability that I just highlighted called Colossal means that he takes 50% less damage from small guys.
Small guys being 1 square units,
Yes.
which I'm assuming is all bats.
Correct. So this is now. This went from, oh, that's not good, to, oh, this is really bad.
So I mean, general strategy: do you try not to close the gap at all until you can just one-shot something?
Pretty much. Now I have the big king bat right there that I put out first has an ability called War Cry, where if he hits another guy, he can generate AP for anyone around him, which is really, really helpful for closing the gaps because it's anytime you get extra AP basically is good for you. So now I'm like, okay, I'm running the hell away from that big thing, and I'm just gonna try and power turn this guy because he's right here and he's already stunned, and stun makes it so he can't do anything and his defense is lower. So I'm like, all right, I'll just do this, and shit, I don't have enough damage still. So I have to resort to using a spell to kill him off, which I don't like to do if I can avoid it, because spells cost a lot. But
But
sometimes,
we're gonna throw a rock at him.
yes, that's literally what the spell does, and it's one of my favorite spells because it's really, really cost efficient for what it does. Because it does 16 damage to any one champ on the board, which is actually quite a bit for a spell.
Yeah.
So
So the Voil deck it's all tiny bats. Do you try to win through overwhelming numbers or?
yeah, actually, and it's really interesting because there's a lot of different ways for people to play Pox. There's actually almost all of the goons have a Voil deck, and mine's quite a bit different from theirs. But now, what just happened is he used a spell called Mimic, where he copied all of my guy's abilities onto his guy. So now that giant spider thing flies and dodges attacks and has a war cry that makes all of his other dudes nearby get AP.
It has lots of little squares that I'm never going to understand.
Yeah, there's so this is now like even worse because that dude is now super buff, and I can't do anything to hurt him basically.
Well, you couldn't kill him before, so now you extra can't kill him.
Yeah, it's yeah, it's not good. Although the one advantage I have is one of the abilities he copies doesn't let him put down another one, because if he puts down another one now they both explode.
Oh, well, is there any way you can force him to put one down?
No, I can't force anything out of his hand,
Dang.
but that still is at least a little bit helpful. That's the one consolation I had when he did that. Because I've had other people do it to different things and then drop something and explode it because they weren't paying attention to what was going on.
Well, your general's dead.
Yes, but I have lots more bats where he came from, so which is part of the style of how I play. I have more champs in my deck than almost anyone else that I play with, and I tend to, when in doubt, I'll just let guys die, and instead of trying to use spells to save them, and I'll just put more guys down. And I try and just win through overwhelming numbers because bats build up pretty quick. There's a lot of guys that get more damage based on the number of bats you have down, and things
Oh,
like that.
oh, okay.
So I was
So,
like, oh hey, I can kill that guy finally. And then the big thing's just gonna come and wreck me still. But you know,
well, condolences.
because it also, I mean, it's got an ability that ignores defense. I can't stun it. I can't knock it out. I can't stop it in any way. I can't make it lose its AP.
I see only got like a few blue. Oh no, okay, that's how far I can move.
Yeah,
All right.
when I select them on my turn, it only shows what it's got built up so far. But at the start of your turn, you accrue more
Yeah.
movement points, basically. So this is
What are
still.
the floating blue balls on the field? What are those?
Those are Nora globes. Those are extra resources,
And
basically.
that you get from when people die or whatever.
Yes. Every time you die, you drop a resource globe worth 12% of the value of the champion. And so there's a few abilities that like let you get more resources than that and some other stuff, or like that give you benefits on picking them up. But really, the benefit of picking them up is it gives you more resources.
Mm.
So I don't know if you saw that, but he just cast another spell on that thing that gives it regeneration. So every turn it heals a couple points of HP.
I mean, I guess at some point, if you just can't kill it, then casting more spells on it's just a waste of resources.
Well, it also has another side effect where if he's standing next to a guy that shares the same as another bug guy and attacks me, he gets extra damage forever. So there's a lot of stuff going on right now with that guy. And as you can see, the abilities bar at the bottom has a scroll bar on it because he's got so many of them now, which is one of the complaints that people have with this game. Because let's be honest, that's excessive.
That is a tad excessive.
So,
I think heroes starting with 4 or 5 things is excessive already. You know.
well, I mean, you can see how many some of my guys have. So I was like, okay, he's flying. So I have a guy, the guy that I just put down, that does extra damage to flying guys.
Oh, perfect.
So I was like, okay, I got this still. I finally got him. I'll put him out. I'll just fly over and murder this guy. It'll be okay. I mean, everybody else is going to die in the meantime. But until then, I'm good. I'm golden. And there's a little bit of a bonus because anytime anybody gets dealt electricity damage, that one bat up there that's in the middle of things heals a little bit. So he's a little bit harder to kill just because He heals a little bit anytime anybody walks near him or he attacks somebody or anything like that.
So he held his own for a turn or two, which is probably more than he should have. That's good.
Yeah, that's helpful. And the other thing that people really have trouble with in this is board position versus resource cost to hold it. Like, I mean, yeah, I could have rushed him down and like tried to steal his extra resources here, but my guy would have died super fast, and it wouldn't have been worth it.
Mm.
I didn't think so. The one good thing is this guy is stupid and keeps trying to use an ability called Massive Leap that doesn't affect my guys because they fly. So that's in my favor.
So I am going to be forced to make a lot of Magic comparisons because it's what I know. I know in Magic every deck kind of has a central focus, and here you got your Voil deck, and he's got his mixed deck. I'm assuming most people have decks that focus on one thing or another.
Yes and no. Goons tend to play decks that are very thematic just because it's fun. Like, I like having theme decks. That's almost entirely what I play. A lot of people play what's called meta, just basically find the best things you can from any single faction, jam them together, and let them work. Basically, just do as much damage as you possibly can. But there's all sorts of different themes in this game. I'm gonna have a big list posted in the OP, but there's you can do all sorts of crazy themes, and you can split themes across factions as well. So like basically multiple colors in Magic, you can think of the factions.
Yeah. So mix. What are they trying to do? I mean they've buffed up that guy a lot. Are they kind of a few big monsters sort of deck?
Yes and no. Like I said, they have got a lot. The one he just put out has almost no damage, but has an ability to lay eggs to put out more mix, basically. So
Oh wait, it's like 4 mix. Got it. Got it. D&D.
I don't get the D&D reference. Is it?
Oh, 4 mix are ants, an ant race in D&D.
Yeah,
So they knocked off the 4 and replaced it with mix, right?
that would.
Got it.
Yeah, that would make sense. Oh, and look, he added another spell to it.
Come on, guy. Overkill.
So that spell, what it does is it gives him extra damage, extra speed, and extra HP, I want to say. And it gives him flying, which he already had, so it's kind of a waste. But it also gives him an ability called Horrific Aura, which if he puts up Horrific Aura, anyone that tries to attack him gets scared, and you can't attack the guy that scared you. Is the basic way that works. So now my best bet is that he's going to put it up right now so I don't kill him, which is really bad for me. But I do have an ability, or I do have a guy that has global anti-fear, basically, so I'm hoping I can afford him next turn. It's that guy that I just highlighted right there, the Voil Imperialist. And as you can see, the big yellow bug you put down just laid a little egg up there between it and the cliff.
Is he spreading his Zerg creep or something?
No, he's got mix also have a lot to do with sand.
Oh, okay.
So I was like, yes, he didn't put it up. So now I can nuke him with this guy that's going to have like 20 something damage and do an extra 50% damage, right? It's going to be a lot.
All right, I'm prepared. Nailed it.
Right? I'm just doing so much.
Fuck it, hit it with a rock.
That's pretty much where I'm at this point. I'm like, I can do 16 damage with a rock, or I can like...
Dose.
Yeah, but see, if that guy that just shot him last kills him, he gets a bunch of heals from it. So I'm like, alright, screw it. We'll just nuke it, and we'll just go for this.
I mean, he has tied up a heck of a lot of his resources in that one guy.
Right, so if I can kill it, I'll be in really good shape. But if I can't kill it, he's just going to keep running through me. I was like, yes, 1 damage. Hit it with a rock.
Hey, the only HP that matters is the last one. It's dead. Rip.
So now you can see I just got 13 Nora from that globe, so that's pretty good.
And all of a sudden, we're in a pretty decent position.
Yeah, because the big yellow one over there really doesn't have very much damage. Now you can see that guy has 25 damage and 9 speed. So he is going to tear my shit up this turn. But until then, I don't know why I did that. I was like, oh, I'll just sacrifice this one guy and he won't hurt me anymore. Until I realized that he could kill me in 1 hit and then still go hurt me a lot.
Now, how much you were talking about maps earlier? I mean, how big a difference does terrain make and stuff? Is it really just a pretty backdrop, or is it kind of a big deal?
Terrain is actually fairly important for at least a couple different champs. Like the one I showed off in the preview video, there's a guy that's hidden when he's standing on grass. So a map like this is great. There's a couple guys that are hidden when they're standing on rock, a couple guys that are hidden when they're standing on sand, a couple guys that are hidden when they're standing on ice, and all of the terrain types kind of have a map or two of their own. Basically, each faction has at least one map of their own.
Are the maps randomly selected, or do you pick one when you go in?
Yes, when you queue up for a game, the maps are all randomly selected. Because the main way to play in this one, and the way I'll be playing these, is matchmaking online, basically. So that way we'll see all sorts of different stuff, and we'll run into some different things that you might not see otherwise.
Wow, get wrecked.
Yeah. But the nice part is that dude's really low on health and doesn't have very many defensive abilities, so I'll get him this turn.
Now, so does that mean people from the thread can't challenge you to epic battles?
Oh, we certainly can. I mean, you can do unranked games challenging anyone you want. I just didn't figure that anybody would want to pick up this game and play it for at least a little bit, to be perfectly honest.
Isn't that the whole point, though?
I would love for more people to play this game. It's actually recently got. It was originally an independent game, and then Sony Online Entertainment bought it and ran it into the ground like they do everything else.
Well, sure.
And then just recently, within the last week, actually, they sold it back to the guys that left Sony Entertainment and basically started their own studio. They sold it back to these guys. So it's actually on the way to recovery. There's a lot more people playing again, even just a week after the sale back, because there's a lot more people who are really interested in it and how it's going to go. So that's always a good sign.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
we're fine.
part of the migration to the new servers for the new company is that there's been a few things like that that have happened, and it's just like, whoa, wait a minute.
I had a map here. Um, yeah. Are we going to see you playing a bunch of different decks? Or are you going to stick with one? Because like,
Well, that's the hope, is because I have, I think, 5 or 6 different decks queued up already that I want to play.
or do we get a vote for which one you get to play next or
Well,
something?
that too. I was hoping I could get some people throwing out some ideas for challenges too. Just stuff they'd like to see. Oh, hey, guess what's back? That's
Oh,
actually a second one. It's not the
well,
same one,
yeah,
but
but it's not super anymore.
not yet.
Also, I wonder if you had it in his hand the whole time and you couldn't play it.
Presumably, because like I say, it would make the other one explode. But this isn't a horrible position, because I still can heal up that guy that's almost dead with not a whole lot of effort.
You didn't do any damage. What was that shield thing?
He's got an ability called. He put on equipment called Legion Standard that gives him an ability called Pawn, which means anytime you hit him, damage the first time you hit him, every turn the damage goes to the next closest enemy or next closest ally.
So, okay, so you're punching the queen and that little red bat thing's taking damage.
Yep. And now I walk over and I shoot him a couple times and I heal off of him, just like that. And then I run away, so nothing else hurts that thing. Because that's one of the linchpins of this deck. It's got an ability that increases everyone's speed by 1, which is really, really good. Because speed and AP is a really big part of this game. Basically, the stats are. Everything in this game is fairly important, but the stats line are the most important part, probably. And any way you can boost stats is pretty good. So this isn't looking terrible for me, but it's not looking great either.
I mean, in sheer numbers, it looks like you get as many dudes as he does. And all your dudes are currently smashing his face when he's kind of still far away, but...
Yeah, I mean, it's not terrible because I've got some really good stuff out, but it's not great either because that Broodlord's going to be a huge pain in my ass again. And again, he doesn't know what his abilities do, so he's just wasting AP.
So, not only are you possibly being beaten, you're being beaten by a guy who doesn't know what his buttons do.
Yeah, pretty much. That's it.
How's it feel?
It's bad.
Stop checking the guild chat. Well,
That's actually the combat log.
okay, fine.
I was trying to see. You saw that little animation on the guy that I have highlighted right now. That means that he cast a spell, and I was trying to figure out if it was a hidden spell or a not hidden spell. So the only way to tell if it's a hidden spell is if you have a unit that shows when it's hidden or not. Also, Pawn, the ability that deals damage to the next guy, doesn't trigger with the ability that halves damage from small dudes. So I was like, yes,
Oh
finally
yeah,
some
that's
damage on him.
genius.
And I think at this point, yeah, I'll hit him again with this guy, and then I'll feed off his health with the bat again, so I can heal all the way up to full.
You should play Voil a couple times in a row so we at least get a handle on what these guys do.
I can do that. This is actually my favorite deck to play. This is the one that I go to that I play ranked most often. Just because, I don't know, I just really like it. It's got great mobility because all the guys fly. It's got everything you could want for in equipment and spells. So, it's one of my
Yeah.
favorite.
Yeah, because I would like to know like what the pink one does, and then when you use the pink one, I'll be like, oh, it's the pink one. I love the pink one.
Now, most of the bats actually have names from back when a lot of goons used to play, and we never used to want to say their full names because their full names get a little ridiculous.
Like yeah, Shalaxi the Courier. Got it.
So that is actually the pink one is actually skirt bat because if you can tell, it has a little turquoise skirt on it.
All right, I like where this is going.
Shalaxi is actually a slightly newer version of one that's called hat bat. If you look really closely at the picture for Shalaxi, you can tell that it has a hat still.
I do like the pictures of the in the bottom left.
Yeah, some of the art's really good. Some of the art's really bad though. I'll probably see if I can find a few examples of some of the bad art, but
I like the dive bomb bat who has like the big like a juggernaut helmet on, and just charging at people with his head, and he paid for it with his life. Rip.
it's really not too bad though because I have a bunch of guys right there ready to blow some shit up. Although there is a huge dude in my face that's gonna punch me a lot.
Is that what is that thing next to the Poxnora node thinger?
Okay, so that's a rock trap.
Okay.
That's one of Shalaxi's abilities. Is she can put down traps. Now that particular trap, there's a couple. Each faction has its own kind of trap, and traps trigger when you walk within 2 spaces of them. And that particular trap stuns, knocks backs, and does a little bit of damage. So it's great if there's someone trying to walk onto your font, because it will stun the guy that tries to walk on there, knock him back, and then he can't get it on it anymore because he's stunned and he can't move.
All right. So you've set the bait here.
Yes, hopefully. And so now, one of the interesting parts of the game is there's knockback. You can hit a guy and knock him back. But if you knock him back into something, you do damage to the guy and what you knocked him into, which I tried to do there, but I forgot I can't do because that guy is too big to be knocked back, basically.
Oh, I see.
So this is not great, but I'm like, okay, I've got a lot of damage right here. I can hit him a bunch of times with a bunch of different dudes. Maybe I can kill him. Hopefully. I've still got a spell left if I need it. I'm alright. Yeah, see, he's already down to 14 health. I can just throw a rock at him and call it a day.
Now I know you have 30 cards in the entire deck total. I mean, how long until you've just drawn your whole deck?
I have actually already drawn my whole deck. If you look up at the right side, you'll see all the cards that I've used have numbers on them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how many turns before they come back into my hand.
Oh, okay.
They all automatically...
So you can never just be drawing dead with nothing left.
You can.
But they'll come back eventually. It's not like they'll be out forever.
But it's really, really hard anymore to be drawing dead.
Okay.
I mean, it's technically possible, but I haven't seen it happen in a long, long time. They changed the game a little while back from 20 to 30 when they started introducing more and more champs, and that's kind of eliminated that problem. There is a faction, though, called Forsaken Wastes that helps you get your cards back into your deck faster. So there's a lot of gimmicks with that.
Run away, Bugman.
Yeah, because Bugman's dying pretty hard. Oh, he put another spell on that one to have it regenerate more every turn.
What's the termite mound next to Skirt Bat?
That is a bug hive. It just sends out little bugs at me.
How did he get there?
There's a spell that summons one of those, I believe. I actually don't know. I'll be entirely honest. I was like, what just happened? This is really bad.
Well, then you know exactly how I feel.
And
Rip Skirt Bat.
But no, there's a couple spells that summon champs for like a turn or two, just as like for a spot. And that's one of them. and so that big guy is now in my face until the end of next turn, I
Oh,
believe.
okay. He's temporary though, so you just try to avoid him as opposed to bothering with him.
Yeah, and there's actually one that's really good because the thing it summons can turn other guys into itself, do what's called Swarm It. If it kills a guy, they become one of them. So that's really, really good. And I'm like, screw it, that thing's almost dead. I'm just going to drop a spell on it and call it a day.
Throw more rocks at it.
I was like, I want to put a guy out here to help protect my font, but it's more important to kill that guy before he can regenerate. So that's what we're doing here.
Hmm.
Because champs and board control is important, but not letting your opponent basically have free stuff, because that should have been dead. But he used a
I mean,
spell.
and if he stays back long enough, he will come back at full.
Right, because he regenerates health every turn now. So I'm like, okay, I gotta keep that from happening.
So look, this is looking pretty okay. I mean, he's got the big guy right next to you, but it's almost dead. So, or it will die in a turn.
It'll disappear next turn, so I'm all right. And I was like, oh, I
Oh,
forgot. He's huge. He takes less damage.
oh, do it again.
Spell time. When in doubt, use spells. Kill
Oh,
some mans.
what's this one? Lightning storm.
It just
Oh, that was horrible.
it's just a straight damage spell.
Well, I mean, the rock was so much better though. The rock like dropped a meteor on him, and this was just kind of like, eh.
And he quit.
Oh, and he quit.
He spent so many resources on those two big guys that
Yeah.
he couldn't really recover from that. And when
Yep.
when the turn ended, that other big guy would have gone, and he would have had two really weak guys out on the field to my like 4. So
The bats win.
yep. So now we got to figure out what we're playing next. I've got Cyclops, Archers, Dragons, Draxar, more bats.